The Gospel of Gold by G.S. Lewis. The two sat in the dim light for a while, taking no heed of anything that went on around them. Neither of them noticed the distant clamor that drew closer over time, not even when 3 other rockets appeared suddenly and stampeded wildly between them. There was cursing and bickering as the lot scurried up the rope ladder, each demanding the others go faster. If Gold had been paying attention, he would have noticed several lumps on their heads, where Kurt's hammer had doubtlessly found them. The old berserker himself was close on their heels, reaching the rope ladder before the last grunt was over the top and could pull it away. Eventually, the ladder stopped vibrating from the tugs of the climbers, and the noise of pursuit faded from overhead. Gold was again left in the quiet with Tom. He remembered nothing of his vision. There was only the lingering impression that he and Tom had glimpsed the endpoint of all evil. It was like waking from a vivid but forgotten nightmare. After a little time, Gold sensed the beckoning of spirit. He picked himself up and headed eagerly for the rope ladder. There was no longer a burden of conviction on his conscience, and he desired fresh air. However, as he set his foot on the first rung, he looked back to see Tom no longer curled on the ground, but sitting up straight and watching him. There was a profound look in his eyes, whose meaning Gold could not discern. He was only sure of one thing. This man knew something now, which he would likely never forget. Gold felt he should say something in parting. "You've got your life back," he told him. "It's time to rethink it." Tom looked like he wanted to say something, but then he turned his gaze away and closed his mouth. Gold waited a moment longer, but when nothing was forthcoming, he shrugged and turned his attention back to climbing. When he was back out onto the surface, the first thing he heard was the faraway din of excited shouting from the direction of Azalea Town. Deciding that more trauma was the last thing he wanted right now, Gold resolved to lie low for at least an hour, until Kurt and the rockets were sorted out. He looked about, wondering vaguely what had become of his walking stick. It was in his hand when he'd walked into town, but it had vanished sometime between then and the incident at the well. Had he dropped it while chasing Kurt? Gold found his answer when he retreated back to the west entrance of Union Cave. There it was, propped against the near vertical stone wall surrounding the cavern's mouth. He approached, puzzling for a moment or two about how it could have gotten there. Then the dark tunnel grew suddenly bright, and he recognized a familiar wave of life force and warmth as it washed tenderly over him. He hurried to meet the phoenix, and arrived just in time to see her glide over his head like a graceful kite. Union Cave was fairly roomy for a human to pass through, but as Gold beheld Spirit's majestic wingspan, he wondered how an aerial titan of her species could have possibly fit. Once again, he was reminded that miracles surrounded this legendary bird, and marveled anew how such a magnificent creature deemed him worthy of attention. Spirit came to rest in the same high branches as before, settling her wings as she looked at Gold. As always, though her expression was fierce, she exuded a palpable happiness that dimmed all of Gold's troubles in its light. "It is done," she said in her feminine voice. "The path is clear once more, and soon you will be reunited with 2 of your companions." "Wow, that was fast," Gold said, congratulating her. "So, who's coming?" "That would be telling," sang Spirit cheerfully. Gold chuckled. "I think I could guess. But how about a trade?" he offered. "You tell me about how soon they'll arrive, and I'll know how much time I have to tell you of my morning in Azalea Town." Gold's smile faded a bit as he considered who he was talking to. Actually, never mind, he amended bashfully. You probably already know about everything that happened. Spirit gave him a curious look.
No, indeed,
she said seriously.
I said I would be with you, but on this occasion, the knowledge was kept from me.
What? Gold paused, staring at her in dumb astonishment, wondering if he had misheard her. The knowledge was... What do you mean kept from you? Is somebody messing with our bond somehow? Is it silver?
Be at peace,
Spirit said with a gentle laugh.
All is well. I am far from omniscient, and sometimes heaven has reason to withhold things from us. Nothing malevolent is at hand.
But I heard you! Gold protested, looking back in the direction of Slowpoke Well. When Kurt tackled that rocket guy into the well and they both got hurt at the bottom, you told me to heal them! Spirit just looked at him quizzically.
Kurt I know of,
she said,
but I have not seen him lately. He is a just, if zealous man. You say he attacked a rocket?
Yeah, with enough force to plunge them both right down the well shaft. You really don't remember this? I swear, I heard your voice telling me to go heal them, both of them.
And did you?
She prompted. Well, yes. Gold thought for a moment, then added, I didn't lay hands on the rocket right away. I hated him. I'm sure he was dead, and I was glad of it. Gold lowered his head, feeling ashamed. I nearly left him lying there, but then, I don't know, something made me rethink it. I suddenly felt so guilty. Though he no longer felt the guilt, he remembered how much it had bothered him. Spirit seemed to read his facial expression.
Free will is yours, she said, but hidden influences are ever about you. In critical moments, heaven or hell will nudge your mind. Heaven, in this case, won out.
But now a bad man lives, Gold insisted pointedly.
A changed man lives,
Spirit corrected.
As surely as I am the phoenix, I tell you that no man is the same after glimpsing the other side of death.
She gave him a meaningful look.
As for you, Gold, I am becoming more familiar with your heart over time. It would have been broken in the long term if you look back on this day and remembered that you did nothing.
To this, Gold could only shrug. He did not have the long-sighted wisdom of Spirit, and he knew in his heart that he still hadn't really forgiven Tom for his complicit criminality. But saving him anyway had, if nothing else, bought them both time for forgiveness. Where Tom had been about to go, it would have been too late. Gold momentarily recalled the hellish fire, and a flash of terror blinked in and out of his subconscious. Spirit noticed.
You twitched, as if in pain,
she observed. Something happened when I touched him, Gold affirmed, nodding. I can't remember clearly, but I had a vision. I think I saw his soul in a really bad place. He shuddered and would not say more. He feared that to do so would bring back the memory, like the fresh reopening of a wound. Spirit bowed her head.
It is a necessary thing to suffer,
she said sadly.
The refiner's fire. When the world fell, weeds appeared in the grain, dross in the metal, and evil in the heart. The fire separates these things forever, but nothing forever ceases to exist. It merely exists in a different form. Still, all things must go somewhere. Those with no purpose are ultimately cast away.
The sorrow in Spirit's voice deepened.
Nobody weeps for the weeds that go up in smoke, for weeds can never change the virtue of what they are. But humankind, the race made in God's own image, with the potential to choose good or evil, how tragic it is when they choose evil to the death.
Spirit looked at Gold with profound solemnity.
You averted a tragedy today. To the world, it will appear like a single petty criminal got lucky. In truth, eternity was affected. Indeed, you may never know when one interaction with someone makes the final difference.
Gold's head swam at the weight of the statement. Spirit's words were, as always, laden with revelation that he could hardly bear. The people who lived around him had always been there, and so he had taken them for granted. Until now, he had never thought of them as eternal souls. Spirit rested quietly on her branch, content to let Gold digest the information as he would. He sat and pondered for a while, and finally looked up with a furrowed brow. "You've really put me up to something major here," he said wearily.
No more than others who interact daily in their lives,
replied Spirit gently.
You simply see the stakes more clearly.
"Are you sure," Gold asked, "that it wasn't you who wanted me to heal that guy? I know it was your voice, and it was the kind of thing you would say." Spirit tilted her golden-crested head, looking thoughtful for a moment. Then her eyes brightened, and at the same time, she expanded her wings to fly.
I speak by the spirit that lives in me,
she exclaimed, as Gold watched her lift off.
And because you know him by me, you must have heard my voice when he spoke to you. Yes, it was him!
Who? Called Gold, wondering where she was going.
The Life Giver!
Spirit cried as she soared away over the mountain.
The true Life Giver of high heaven!
Gold watched her fly off until she was out of sight, still passively wondering what had caused her to go, but mostly entranced by the beauty of her form. He never got tired of looking at her, and he suspected he never would. He only looked down again when he became aware that his name was being called.
Gold?
Gold! So it is you! Walking towards him from out of the mouth of Union Cave were the two companions that Spirit had told him would come. There was Jinichi, tailed by his bay leaf, and Marina, walking hand in paw with her crocodile.